down front and asked an employee, where do I go for the meeting room? And he said, there's no meeting room here. There's HR. So I go, oh, that's bizarre. So then I go down to Eastman Road, Food City, go upstairs. Nobody's in that meeting room. And I thought, that's so weird. And I called John, where am I supposed to be? So I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation to speak. And I'm just overwhelmed with the amount of people in this room who have participated in one way or another on a Habitat project. So we saw a lot of hands for who's been on a Habitat site, but how many of you have been to one of our restores?
Oh, me.
I swear I never leave there empty-handed, even when I tell myself, don't bring your wallet, don't bring your wallet. Thank you so much, Kiwanis Club members, for your support of Holston Habitat for Humanity. I'm Laura Kelly. I see some familiar faces in the room, but I feel like I'm still getting to know the Kiwanis family and the Kingsport family at large. I am a transplant 10 years ago, but man, am I happy to be here, and man, I'm happy to stay. So, Holston Habitat, we've got a lot going on, and I'm excited to clue you in on ways that we can see Kiwanis continuing to be involved. So, I know that many of you in the room can probably say our mission statement, but Holston Habitat's mission is to put God's love into action, bring the community together to build homes, communities, and hope. Those are really our three cornerstone pillars. And I think if you've been a part of Habitat in one way or another, you have felt those three things. So that's something I'm really grateful for. And Habitat's vision, I get the good fortune of being a part of really a global mission. Our vision across the world is that everyone deserves a decent place to live. We all deserve a place to call home that is safe and warm and dry. So that's really what we're doing here and what we've been doing since 1985. I'm sure many of you in the room knew Joe Morrison very well. Joe Morrison, Elizabeth Ann Hay, their leadership brought this organization to its feet. And we are one of the first 100 affiliates in the nation, which is something we're really proud of. So we have a little bit of recognition maybe in the main office. And while we do really good work in the Tri-Cities, I do like to remind people that, again, we're a part of a global mission. And by that, tangibly, it means that we tithe every year to global international work with Habitat. So to date, since 1985, we have tithed $840,000 to international missions, meaning we have actually built more homes overseas than we have built in the Tri-Cities. Because as you can understand, it might cost only about $10,000 to build a house somewhere in Africa as opposed to here in Kingsport. So we're proud of the work that we're doing internationally, and now I'm excited to tell you more about what we're doing here in the Tri-Cities and in Kingsport. Right now we have got one build going on in Elizabethton. That's for a single mom named Patty. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. We've got Just to frame the demographic of our homeowners in our program right now, our home buyers, I should say, almost exclusively single moms. That tells you about who really needs a hand up in our community. So the next 5 houses that we will build across the Tri-Cities will be for single moms. The families in our program lined up after that have unique situations where they've brought in children into their family that were not their own. So we see a lot of single moms, a lot of grandparents raising grandkids, just folks who can't afford where they're living right now. So you all could probably recite to me how you qualify for a Habitat house, but I thought I'd just go over it real quick so you can remember and refer people to Habitat who you think might be a good fit for the program. So for our homeownership program, there are 3 legs to the stool. 1, there's a demonstration of need. So wherever they're living now, it could be a dilapidated structure. Maybe it's got electrical or plumbing issues that are kind of irreconcilable. They could not afford it. So for example, the single mom we're about to build for in Johnson City, she's spending 54% of her income on her housing. Where she lives is just fine, but she just can't afford it. So I think that is going to be a really common denominator across all of the families we're serving. It might be dilapidated and unaffordable now, where maybe it used to just be dilapidated. Maybe there are safety concerns in the neighborhood. Maybe there aren't enough bedrooms, and so that we've got mixed gender teenagers sleeping in the same room. So We take all those things into consideration, so that's demonstration of need. The second is that they've got to have an ability to pay, because what I love about the Habitat program is that every mortgage payment we get every month goes right into building the next house. So every mortgage payment is going right towards sticks and bricks on our next home buyer. And so we offer a 0% interest affordable mortgage. So, they're paying their closing costs and they sign on the dotted line and it's their deed and their house. And so we have to make sure, just as we agree to build them a good energy efficient home and to be really compassionate lenders, they have to make sure that they can make their payment. Because if they can't, there's another family out there who can and will. So they've got to pay their mortgage. And then third, it's a willingness to partner. Habitat is not a turnkey organization. And again, this third leg of the stool I love because it means we are really teaching people how to take responsibility when the keys go in their hand. We want them to maintain their home, balance their budget, feel like they understand how to plan for their future with a living will. What is a power of attorney? We go through all kinds of things in their homeownership curriculum, which spans 8 to 10 weeks. They bring in their receipts. It's a pretty vulnerable process, and they're really digging deep, and that's because we want to make sure that they can succeed, because most of these families are first-time home buyers. They've never done this before. So when you get those keys to your house, you can't call anybody else. It's your house, it's your baby. And so we want to do everything we can to teach them how to save incrementally for the filters, for in 5 years, what do you expect? In 10 years, what do you expect? Just make those baby steps so that they can live there potentially for the rest of their lives. We want them to stay in those homes for as long as they can. And so I think if you've been volunteering with us for a long time, then you've seen the quality of construction increase over the years. Our latest home received a HERS rating, which is an energy efficiency rating, as I'm sure many of you know, of 69, and that's a really tight house. So we're building a good product with really good quality materials because, again, we want to set them up for success. Sure, we could give them peel and stick tile and some lesser quality warranted products, but that wouldn't be doing them any favors. We need low to moderate income families in a stable home that they can afford over the long term. So we've got our home ownership program, and then we've also got a repair program. So when I came on board about 1.5 years ago, we were kind of in limbo with home repair. And that's really my background. I worked with Appalachia Service Project for 8 years, doing emergency home repair across 5 states and disaster recovery. And my heart goes out to all of the families in East Kentucky and Southwest Virginia. So I'm still very plugged into that community, trying to figure out how Habitat can provide support to those areas. But home repair, gosh, there's a real need for roofs and new HVACs and accessibility, modifications, wheelchair ramps. We see those needs everywhere across the Tri-Cities, and especially here in Kingsport. So I'm very excited to say that just this week it was approved that Holston Habitat for Humanity will be receiving $60,000 from Kingsport's Community Development Block Grant Program to put towards emergency home repair projects. So very excited to be able to serve the community in that way. So those are still low to moderate income families who've got real needs in their home, and what we'll do is focus on exterior projects that we know we can complete pretty quickly, like a new roof, HVAC, windows, siding, ramps, and we're focusing right now on interior modification projects like grab bars and widening doorways so that we can really encourage families to age in place comfortably. We want to remove all of those hazards and reduce recidivism into our local hospital system. If we can keep people healthy in their home, then they will live longer and healthier lives. So there's, I think, a lot of opportunity for us moving forward to partner with some of the local, ballot health and physical therapy offices just to say, okay, what can we do to keep you here and safe? And that improves quality of life for everybody. So we're working on home repair projects in Kingsport. And like I mentioned earlier, we've got one new build going on right now in Elizabethton, if you want to get involved. We will start on a new build in Johnson City in the next 2 months. So that is really close to downtown. That, I think, will be a great project to kind of highlight affordable housing in the region, because Appalachia Service Project, Eastern 8, and Holston Habitat, we all bought pieces of property right next to each other as kind of a group neighborhood revitalization project. And I would love to duplicate that in Kingsport, work with the city to kind of target specific neighborhoods and see what we can do to maintain kind of a historically accurate type of housing in the neighborhood. I'm not talking gentrify. I'm talking give people a quality home and kind of give their homes a facelift that they need and through repair. So we'll start that build in Johnson City here soon, and then we'll have 3 in a row here in Kingsport. So we'll get started on those by the end of this calendar year, and we'll be working on those probably through the middle of next summer. So would love to see some of you all come out to the work sites. To be transparent, does anybody in here work in construction? Has anybody in here remodeled their house in the last 2 years? Okay, has anybody else just gawked at the price of plywood and OSB? I mean, it's just wild. So we're getting a little bit of a break now on lumber prices, but we're seeing everything else go up. So it's really just this teeter-totter of trying to make things work. Before the pandemic, the average cost to build a Habitat house was about $120,000. Now, 2021 average was $155,000. 2022 average so far is about $175,000. This is just construction cost.
And that's less than 1,000 square feet, right?
Depends, actually the last few houses that we've built 2 5-bedrooms in the last couple years. We just finished a 4-bedroom. So, each bedroom probably adds about $10,000 in material. So if we were consistently building 2 bedrooms, our prices would be lower. But the needs that we're seeing in the community are single moms, single parents, or families with lots of kids. So we're trying to meet those needs. Nevertheless, that means we got to raise a lot more money to maintain momentum, let alone scale. So of course, we get countless phone calls a week about people who need affordable housing, and we desperately want to be able to meet those needs. But it just means that we need just cash donations, money coming in the door to make sure that we can continue building. It means, maybe there are business owners out there, maybe there are subcontractors out there who'd be willing to give us a good deal. Or if you've got excess material that you don't need sitting around in your warehouse anymore and you could donate that somewhere just to get out of your way, we might be able to use it, whether that's on a Habitat house or sell it in our restore to raise money for a house. And then we need volunteers to keep these houses moving. And, I think our group of regulars, as we call them, a couple regulars over here, we've got an aging group of regulars, and so we just have to make sure that we are welcoming in new groups of volunteers and not relying too much on some of the men and women who have been building with us for 25 years. So just want to put those bugs in your ears. If you know of any business owners or anybody who feels compassionate for the work that we do, they have the ability and affinity to give to Habitat, we would love that. And the last thing I'll mention here today is that one of our greatest needs is land, affordable land. So our development costs for starting to build a house before we even put the walls up, for buying the land and doing the foundation, we're running between $40,000 and $50,000 before we ever start building the house. It is really difficult to find even just a city infill lot for an affordable price. And so I just put that in front of you today to say, if you've got land, if you know folks who have land, especially in city limits, it's a little bit easier for us to develop. Outside of city limits, we add costs like septic, depending on how far out we look at wells. But that's one of our greatest challenges right now. So we're being real scrappy. We're making a lot of phone calls. We're doing what we can to get land. But I just tell you that too so that it can be on your radar.
How far outside of Kingsport are you going?
We serve all of Sullivan County. So our service area is Sullivan County, Carter County, Washington County, and Bristol, Virginia. Yeah. Yes.
How much of your total budget do the restores bring in for you with their sales?
I thank God every day for our restores. They really, truly carried us through the pandemic so that we didn't have to lay off a single person. our restores bring in last fiscal year, which ended at end of June, brought in $1.3 million. Tremendous, absolutely tremendous. So with that amount of income, there's cost of business. You're paying overhead, you're paying for the buildings, etc. And what is really nice is that the model is that our restores cover office overhead, program overhead, so that when we're out in the community talking to civic groups or churches or individuals about sponsorship, those sponsorships go right towards materials. So we can kind of cover our own costs behind the scenes. And then when we're out in the community raising money, that really goes into projects. Yes?
I know you do a great job vetting your people from a financial standpoint. But what has been your recent, if it is, default percentage, and how much has COVID impacted this, if it has impacted?
I am so proud of our Habitat homeowners through the pandemic. So again, I came on board January 2021. We've had one foreclosure. So our current load of mortgages, we carry 122 in-house, and one has foreclosed. There have been plenty of families who've struggled, but we've got a mortgage manager who is on them like white on rice. When they start to miss a payment, they start slipping. We put together a catch-up plan. We work with them because we know that times are hard. A lot of them were out of work, or maybe they were working service industry jobs and it was just unpredictable. But we've only had one foreclosure. So we're less than 1% in default rate, which I think is just a testament to the quality of the homeownership education that they go through. And then, we're not like a Wells Fargo. We're not a long distance lender. We can call them and have a personal relationship. And I think that means a lot to them. I think there was another hand. Yes?
What's your typical lot size that you're looking for?
Urban infill has really been our bread and butter over the years. So a 50 by 150 is really easy for us to develop. Pipe dream, I would love a Habitat neighborhood. If any of you want to work with me on a neighborhood, I think we can get there. The state of Tennessee received $15 million for all of the 40 plus Habitat affiliates to build affordable housing. Now, how that money will be distributed is yet to be known, but I do think if we were able to come alongside some other partners, it's very possible that we could build our first ever Habitat neighborhood. So we are totally open to larger tracts of land that we can kind of subdivide, create different types of housing, whether that's townhomes or single family. Our bread and butter is single family housing because that's really just the demand that comes to us. Yes?
Laura, first, thank you for what you, your organization, and your volunteers do for our community. But my question is, the city, we're constantly working on code enforcement. And sometimes those actions result in demolishing a house or a tax sale and so forth. Do you work with the city and county governments on the potential to maybe get some of those lots?
I would love to. I've recently been sent a list from your codes department on the dilapidated properties. And I've got a meeting set up with Mayor Venable to discuss that. So I would love to continue the conversation because, in fact, as I approach the city about the CDBG funding and just trying to be a part of the solution with home repair and rehab, I would love for us to specifically address consistent code enforcement households that meet both your need and our definition of home repair. So I think we can kind of address a lot of the same things at the same time.
Daryl will be happy to handle it.
There we go. Talk to you after this, Daryl. Yes?
Would you might be interested in some land in Scott County?
I wish.
Well,
I'm
it's
at
not
this.
for sale,
Okay.
and you might be talking to me.
Okay. Sounds like I should talk to you regardless. I'll think about it. Yes?
Personal question, how old are you?
You don't have to answer that.
I want somebody to guess. I want somebody in here to get in trouble and guess.
22.
That's very nice of you to say. I have too many grays to be 22. I'm 31.
I want to say for a 31-year-old person, man or woman, you're quite an impressive person, and we're very fortunate to have somebody. You talk good, you should be a damn lawyer.
He's trying to work her way up.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. Do you have a question?
Yeah, what kind of donations do you want in your restores?
There's very little that we don't accept. We basically just don't accept anything that will cost us money to dispose of. So we don't accept to use paint. Kind of iffy on what appliances we will accept. We would like for them to work. Otherwise, then we have to spend the resources to go dispose of them. Mattresses we can accept in Kingsport, but not in Johnson City. And a fun fact about mattresses, we won't accept them if they're kind of like this. And if you stand your mattress up and it does a little bend, that means that there's too much human particulate in your mattress. So next time you change your sheets, you might just want to take a look. But in general, when you walk through our restores, we've got a lot of furniture. That's our biggest seller. So when you are getting a new couch, think about donating your old one to us. We've got all kinds of art. We've got electronics. Never, please, never go out and buy a brand new blender or food processor. Please come take them out of the restore. We've got 100 at least. So all kinds of electronics, linens, and then in both the Johnson City and the Kingsport Restore, we've got a warehouse or an annex area with all kinds of building materials. So, big or small little plumbing parts or cabinets, come and take a look at what we've got. So we can accept a pretty broad range of donations.
No clothing.
We do not accept clothing, that's right. Occasionally, if somebody drops off a big trailer load and they've got a bag of clothes, we'll accept it. But then another organization, God's Corner, will come and pick up our clothes and then they'll sell that. I will share with you a fun fact. The items that we can't sell, again, sometimes we'll just take something if it's on the truck already. The items that we can't sell, there's a business up in Bristol, I believe, and it's one of those rage rooms. So he comes and picks up all this dishware that we can't sell, and people just are smashing it against the walls, letting out all their COVID frustration. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
He takes printers too.
Yes, he does. He does.
What about Venetian blinds?
I think we can take some blinds.
They turned it down the other day, but I'll talk with you about it.
Okay, you'll talk. Uh-oh. Yes,
Do you pick up?
we do.
Okay.
So you can call us. We typically run 7 to 10 days out. So just call us in advance so that we can coordinate.
And don't you sell stuff online?
We do. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah. I was involved in some donations several years ago, and I called you because there were some computers. Well, it turned out you didn't want the computers, and the guy from Bristol actually came and got the printers.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff you took was just amazing, and I said, who's gonna buy this? He said, oh man, we sell this stuff online.
I know. It is so good that I'm not in charge of it, because when I have a yard sale, I'm like, just take it. I don't even want your money. So I'm so glad that they know how to price everything in there. But we do have an eBay store. So if you're looking for anything kind of special, a collector's item, check out our eBay store. We always have at least 300 products listed. And I tell you, that grosses over $40,000 a year. Wouldn't you know? Every once in a while I get a text message saying that we sold a teacup today for $600. And I'm like, holy moly. So it's really neat. The staff is being incredibly creative, ingenuitive to bring in more money because it's costing so much more to build these houses. So any other questions I can answer here today?